For this afternoon and tonight, a significant winter storm, including heavy snow with blowing and drifting.
Hello and welcome to the SnowBrains podcast, where it's my job to interview the most intelligent people in the snow sports industry and pass their fascinating knowledge on to you, our listeners. I'm your host, Miles Clark. I'm a professional free skier, a mountain guide, an Alaska heli ski guide, a UC Berkeley molecular cell biology graduate, the founder and CEO of SnowBrains, and I'm just about to head down to Tierra del Fuego, Argentina, and Antarctica to ski. This will be my 9th trip ski guiding Antarctica with Ice Axe Expeditions, and every trip has been absolutely mind-expanding. I'm very grateful. There's truly nothing like Antarctica, and I do my best to cherish every single moment down there. This episode of the SnowBrains podcast is brought to you by Club Med. Are you ready for an unforgettable ski getaway that takes care of everything? And I mean everything. Head to one of Club Med's mountain resorts where you can experience the thrill of the slopes without worrying about a thing. With their all-inclusive packages, you'll get all your lift tickets, ski passes, ski and snowboard lessons for all ages and ski levels, delicious meals, exciting après-ski activities, and even childcare for the kids, all included in the price. So you can focus on what matters most, carving perfect turns and enjoying the breathtaking views. Visit www.clubmed.us or call 1-800-CLUB-MED or call your travel advisor to book your ski escape today. My guest today is Noah Dines. Noah is a badass backcountry skier who's currently on a mission to ski 3 million human-powered vertical feet in 1 calendar year. Noah has already broken the previous record of 2.5 million human-powered vertical feet set by our good friend Aaron Rice back in 2016. Noah is currently in Chile skiing around 9,000 vertical feet per day, every day. Hello, Noah. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here. How are you today, man?
Good.
Nice. When did you ski last?
A couple hours ago.
And you told me today was a mellow day. How much vert did you do?
7,600, which was frustrating because the legs were good, but fog rolled in and that just sucks.
Okay, so I watched your Instagram story today, so that was today.
That
That
was
was
today,
current.
yeah.
Okay, nice, man. So yeah, you're doing yours very, very real time. Well,
Yeah.
Noah, I'm super fired up to learn all the nitty-gritty details about this 3 million vertical foot project. But to very, very start, I'd love to start at the very beginning. Could you tell us your quick and dirty life story? And maybe like in 3 minutes, but if it goes over, that's not a problem.
Sick. I'm 30. I was born in Bedford, Massachusetts, outside of Boston, hometown of Doug Coombs, which
Oh, nice.
I had no clue about until probably I was 27, which kind of leads into some of more of the life story. Pretty typical suburban kid. I was never a serious athlete growing up. I didn't manage to play a varsity sport in high school. I think I topped out at JV soccer. Skiing wise, I learned to ski pretty young at Neshoba Valley, a classic like suburban Boston hill, but a great place to learn. And I skied growing up. I wasn't like a skier. It wasn't part of my identity. I didn't race. It was, 5 to 10 times a year, most of them at night.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
East Coast style.
Real East Coast, like real proper East Coast skiing. Yeah, I went to University of Connecticut for college, got a poli-sci degree,
Nice.
was certainly not involved in any sporting or anything except for watching a lot of men's and women's basketball, which was a hell of a time, but certainly on a different side of the sport than I am now. After college, I moved to Maine to work at an experiential education kind of facility on the mid coast, and that's where I started to get into rock climbing, started skiing a lot more. The second winter I was there, 2017, 18, I bought $100 telemark setup from a dude in a parking lot of a diner on Route 1 and learned to ski tour by myself also at night at the Camden Snowball, which is just a sick 900-foot town-owned hill where you can see the ocean while skiing in Camden, Maine.
Wow, that's beautiful.
It's so cool to like watch the moon set or the sunrise over the ocean while you're skiing. pretty rare. So that's kind of where I started ski touring. And I was doing, it was like I'd ski Saturday, Sunday at Sugarloaf or Sunday River. Then Monday I would do 1 or 2 laps at the Camden Snow Bowl. It was 900 feet, so that wasn't particularly impressive.
But that's
Uh,
after work at night.
that was after work at night
Mhm.
before going to Ultimate Frisbee, indoor Ultimate. And like
Nice.
the cold, yeah, Mondays were sick and
Oh,
those
you're a
cold,
true hippie, dude. Telemarking and ultimate frisbee in the same day.
that was like a very different era. But that was like real gritty East Coast. There's not a lot of people that kind of have those values where I was living on the mid coast, but you could find all of them doing the same things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and then 2019 in the fall, I moved to Vermont. I was not a ski racer, but for unknown reasons, I was given a job as a coach for under 10 ski racers at Mount Mansfield Ski Club. And it
Perfect.
was one of those like opportunity came about, and I was like, should I do this? And I was like, I was at that time substitute teaching at a public charter school near Bates. It was
Hmm.
like a last chance you kind of thing.
Oh,
I
wow.
mean, super, super meaningful work, but brutal and low pay and not enough
Hmm.
of it. And was also hanging Christmas tree lights
Oh,
and I was living in my like '06 Toyota Sienna also at this time. So anyway, I moved to Stowe, Vermont, fall 2019, didn't really know anybody. 3 weeks later, I broke my back.
no.
Uh, yes, not optimal. Ice climbing and Smuggler's Notch
Whoa.
broke the one rule of ice climbing, which
And
is you're not
what,
allowed to fall.
yeah, don't fall.
Uh,
Yeah,
yes.
I do not trust those screws, man.
Well, it would have been good if there were any screws. It was like an easy pitch, just
Oh,
slipped on a
no.
root. Yeah. So then you may remember, late winter 2019, spring 2020, right as I was getting healthy, the world was getting, shall we say, unhealthy.
I slightly remember that.
Yeah, though we mostly have phased that out. So right as I got healthy, the pandemic hit, but then all of a sudden I was teaching and coaching, and then I wasn't. I was doing a tiny bit of online tutoring of a local family and stuff. And then all of a sudden I had a ton of time, and I was in Vermont and there was snow on the ground. So what was there to do but ski?
Hmm.
And why ski 1 lap when you have all day and you can ski two? And that's where I kind of started being like, oh, wow, I'm kind of can just do this all day. Or like I can just go run. Or even more so, you can just get on a bicycle. And as long as you stop at a gas station, you can, in essence, just ride your bicycle forever. So that kind of was the what got me into the like endurance world. How's that for your 3 minute intro?
That's great. And I guess just my only follow-up question is, do you think it was natural for you? I'm always like people like me who suck at uphill always want it to be like you're just a genetic freak. You just have a natural VO2 max like Lance Armstrong. For you, do you think it was a natural? Like, do you think you have a natural ability or was it earned? Like you hiked a lot or both?
Both. I think that like at a certain point, I'm a relatively athletically, I wouldn't say gifted because I don't think I'm wildly gifted, but I think like at a certain point, like I have to acknowledge that I have some genetic things going on that make this any of this doable.
Which is
But
great. That makes people like me feel better.
but also I think that a lot of it was more, that I got good at it because I've always had an insane amount of energy, but was
Hmm.
never focused on it. Then I was like, oh, this is something you can focus on and you're good at it and you have the combination of enough. I don't think like I've never had my VO2 max measured. I don't think that like compared to your average high school Nordic skier,
Hmm.
I'm anything. I don't think
Hmm.
like I have on that front. I don't think like on the high end of sport, I have anything that makes me remarkable. Like I don't think that like on a 40-minute power test, I'm going to come close to not a college Nordic skier, but like a high school cross country runner. I probably won't measure up to.
Then how are you doing this? I guess we need to start. We got to take one step
Because
back. Tell us what your project is, what it's called, and then tell us how the hell you're doing this
my goal is 3 million vertical feet of human powered skiing
in 1 year, right? In
in
365
in one
days.
calendar
Mhm.
year. Yep.
Which I did the math that it requires 8,220 feet a day, vertical feet a
Yeah.
day.
So that number is one that exists, but I've never like subscribed to because I know that I'm going to have to travel. I know this. So my
You're
math
gonna miss
originally,
days.
Right. You just are. So my math was 330 days, which is
Mhm.
9,090 feet a day,
Ooh.
which, before this year, I'd done, I don't know, 10 times, 15 times, certainly before this fall.
Hmm.
So the numbers are really big.
Yes.
In terms of a name, I don't really have a good one. It was one of those things that I brainstormed for a while, got distracted, then started. And so sometimes call it like my big year. If anybody has any great ideas, I'm still open to that.
Well, I
But
mean, you could just call it 3 million, 3 million,
yeah,
or whatever, something like that. So
yeah,
essentially 3 million vertical feet in a 1 year period, a calendar year.
yep,
If
human
I'm not
powered. So no
human
lifts,
powered, no lifts,
no,
so you have
no
to average,
choppers.
and you're guessing 330 days a year. So that's about 9,000 vertical feet every single day, which is insane. That would crush me so hard. And how are you doing this? If like you said, you don't think you're anything super genetically special, especially compared to crazy Nordic skiers on like, a college level. Like, how are you different from all of the rest of us? Because what
Ah,
you're doing hasn't
because
been
I think what
done.
I'm really good at is recovering.
Ooh, tell me more.
And that's where as I kind of left off my intro where I was getting into endurance sports, I found I can ski a lot today
Hmm.
and also ski a lot tomorrow and the next day. So I don't think that's what I was saying. Whereas, like on the high end of power, performance, and speed, I'm nothing really to write home about. When it comes to recovering and being able to do it again, that's where my strength lies. So that's why this kind of niche project is perfect for me because it's not about how fast you go, though a little bit of speed helps in that it gives you more time for recovery.
Hmm.
But it's really skiing's one thing, but it's really about what you can do and what your body can do to recover so you can go out the next day and feel fine to good to great.
So tell us about your recovery. What's unique about your recovery? And so if you're saying that is your superpower, what are you doing? Is that a gift? Is that natural, or are you
I
doing
I
something?
think that a significant amount of it is natural,
Mm,
and then you can aid it as much as possible. And I'm aware of sports science, but I'm not all in a lot of that. I'd probably be more all in. We get into this later with more money. Sports
yes.
science turns out to be very expensive.
Yes.
Um, but my number one recovery tool is doing nothing, as much
Okay.
nothing as possible. And there's a big difference between doing real nothing and real rest and thinking you're resting. Hanging out with your friends, sitting around chatting, laughing at a restaurant, not resting. Your
Ah.
heart rate's up, you're draining yourself. It's fun and it's
Hmm.
important in life, but it's not doing nothing. Before we hopped on for the podcast, I was lying in bed doing nothing, and that's rest and recovery.
And tell
And
us more about your nothing. Are you reading books, listening to
yeah,
something, or just,
a lot of scrolling,
well,
and
yeah, on
sometimes,
phones, yeah.
yeah, and a lot of sometimes that, and then like real peak is like you're scrolling, and then it's on your chest all of a sudden, and
Yes.
you're, it's not sleep. I sleep 7.5 to 8 hours a night. I sleep a pretty normal amount, sometimes a nap, depending on where
Hmm.
I am. A lot
Hmm.
of my routine is dictated by where I am,
Hmm.
but it's really about doing nothing and letting your body work.
That's
And to do
really
that,
good
you also,
advice because I
yeah.
think you're right. A lot of people hang out with their people, they have friends, they have significant others, they're just doing things that you're, like you said, just that little bit gets your heart rate up.
And those are important things. I don't want to say in life that those are critical things,
Hmm.
but know that there's a difference between going out to eat and resting,
Yes.
truly resting.
Hmm.
And then I usually go on a really light, active recovery walk with a huge focus on the recovery, 90% recovery, 10% active. It's
Okay.
just to move the legs,
Yeah, it makes sense to kind of move, get the acids out of there. How long of a walk?
15 minutes. Here
Okay. Yeah, that's smart.
I'm down
Just
in
loosen
Chile
up.
right now. Yeah, it's nothing, and I'm not super neurotic about that. Like here in
Hmm.
Chile, it's usually at whatever time sunset is now. It's like 7:30, 7:45 to watch. There's just absolutely gorgeous sunsets. So I just
Yes,
go watch that, and then that's my active recovery.
that
It's
makes
not,
sense.
I don't have a foam roller. I don't
Hmm.
have a massage gun.
Do you
Uh,
stretch?
no.
No. Oh my gosh, I'm a stretch addict. That's amazing that you can do this without stretching. And it looks like you're in a hostel or something. Tell us where you are right now.
Right now, I'm in. in hostel apartment. I've moved something like 11 times since I got here the 26th of July.
11
Uh,
times just in Chile since,
yeah,
wow.
I mean, all within the town of Farellones.
And is, is
Somebody
this
said,
like financial, like finding the best deals, or why are you moving?
this is because I didn't plan and continue to not do a ton of planning. So it's like,
Uh,
I have a week for you here. Uh,
Availability.
yeah, mostly that. And it sucks.
Yes, it does.
Every schlep is something. Luckily, it's a
Hmm.
small town, and now like I have my ski bag at somebody's house, so it's not as bad anymore. But yeah, every the South American shuffle
Oh yeah.
definitely gets to you.
Oh, I've been there. So where are
Yeah.
you at in the project right now? So it's December. No, it's not.
No,
It's September 19th,
19th, and I've
2024. And so you've got a couple months left. So yeah, give us the numbers. How many vertical feet so far?
so let me just pull up the good old Strava
Yeah,
here.
no, take your time. Thanks,
So,
man.
I've skied 2,676,146 feet.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so over 2.6 million. And how many ski days this year so far?
I have 10 days off snow. Last
Wow.
time I
And so
checked.
do you know, I don't know
That's
how many
15.
days there've been this year. Um,
We have just over 100 days left
okay,
in
wow.
the year.
So somewhere around 260 days already this year. Already that you've skied this year.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing, man. And so yeah, you're over 2.6 million. The record before, so Greg Hill, little mini history. Greg Hill, the legend from up in Revelstoke area, did 2 million in a year. And that blew people's minds. Then our mutual buddy, Aaron Rice, did 2.5 million. And I got to ski with him during some of that in Bariloche, Argentina. And that was really fun. Great dude. Sounds like you guys know each other well. And so now you just broke Aaron's record. How did that feel? Just breaking the record's pretty big. How did that feel?
That was awesome. As another one of my friends, Dennis, said, in some ways, it's just a milestone,
Hmm.
just like 1 million, 2 million, etc. But in
Hmm.
other ways, it is the only one that matters. Like
Yes.
everything else is frosting.
Yeah.
That's the one that you go home with something concrete. That felt awesome. It was super nice. My friend Josh and Luke came down and were with me. They got in like at 3 a.m. the night before. And then I was also joined by Parkin Costin and Patrick Connery, who I had met and skied with at Hood, and they were here and they came to be part of it too. So it was cool to have a group of friends there,
That's
and
really
yeah, it
cool.
made it special.
Do you know how much you're averaging vertical wise per day?
Somewhere around just over 10K, I
Yeah,
believe,
I
at this
just did
point.
some loose math. It looked like it was about 10,000 feet a day. Wow, that's
Yeah.
incredible, man. That is so much. I don't know if I've ever done maybe once or twice. And you in the past have done, I was just talking to Aaron Rice right before this podcast, the guy who had the record before you at 2.5 million. And he said that you've done Everesting on your bike and hiking or skiing before. And could you tell us what that is? And
Yeah.
have you done that?
So Everesting is a thing that I guess became popular during the pandemic because people had time to sit on their bicycles for a long time. But it's in essence what you do is on what you pick a hill and you go up and down it enough times so that your vertical gain is equivalent to Mount Everest from sea level. So it's like 29,000 and change.
Whoa, that's a
And so
big
I
day.
did that. Yeah, it's a big day.
Yeah,
Uh,
how do you feel after that? Jeez.
on the bike, I felt great all day. I had friends come out, so I was eating really well all day, which is critical to any of these things. It's just carb
Yeah.
inhalation. So then the next morning, my back was stiff because I was this on like a slam stem, just like a stupidly set up bike for what I was doing. But then I went mountain biking the next afternoon. And then I went to Quebec for like a 3 or 4 day mountain bike trip
Whoa.
that Friday.
You're a
So
beast.
that one felt pretty fine. Skiing, it was like I picked a bad day. It was like a lot of refrozen spring stuff,
Oof.
and it took seemingly forever.
Yeah, how
But
long did it take on skis?
I forget. It was like 15 hours or something.
Oh my God, damn.
Uh, yeah, it was super annoying because it was a freeze thaw cycle minus the thaw.
Right.
Uh,
Wow.
so that was like a pretty the first one that I was like finished surrounded by a bunch of friends. The skiing one, my friend Luke, who was down here just last week, like came back after I'd been toiling alone at like 11 p.m. and brought me a bottle of champagne.
Oh,
So
that
that
was
was
nice.
fun.
That's really
But
cool.
yeah, I don't remember what the next day felt like. I know that like when you do really big efforts like that, it spikes the cortisol levels in your body,
Hmm.
which can really affect sleep. So I did not go to bed until late, late that night.
I
Uh,
believe that.
so that's actually something that I was really worried about for this year,
Hmm.
and luckily has not been a factor.
You've been sleeping well.
Yeah.
That's
And
huge,
I
man.
was I was super worried going into this that I would kind of, that your hormones get all screwy and then like you
Hmm.
wake up in the middle of the night and you're just wide awake,
Right.
which has happened to me a bunch of times after like really big days or a huge week or something. But this year I've avoided that.
Wow, congrats. That's huge, man. Sleep is everything, obviously, when you're recovering. What was your biggest? So you've done a 29,000 vertical foot day in the past
Yeah.
skiing. What was your biggest day, your biggest vertical day during this project?
I did a 16 and a half plus or minus 1,000 foot day
Wow.
in that was in Stowe in April. And then
Okay.
I have a few like 15K days kicking around
Damn.
this year,
Wow. That's incredible. So how many days do you think have been over 10,000 feet?
at least 150.
No way. So you've had 150 days over 10,000
I
feet. That's
would imagine that
incredible.
it's
Wow.
actually
That's
higher than that.
wow. That's so impressive, man. And what might have been your smallest day?
So this is a good one. Anybody is familiar with Mount Hood. There's
Uh,
Government General is one of the few food sources in the area.
mhm.
And I had a glizzy and then woke up the next morning. That's a
What's a
hot dog.
glizzy?
That's a hot dog.
Okay.
Um, and it was like super hot, and I woke up feeling like shit the
Oh
next morning.
no.
Well, like I knew it was like one of those you wake up at 3 and then you know the toss and
Oh,
turn. I was living in my truck at the time too, so like
rough.
that's suboptimal. I think I like wake up at like for real at 9
Hmm.
and not knowing what else to do, drive up to the Timberline parking lot. Kind of note there's a couple cop cars there, weird.
Uh-huh.
Crawl back into the back of the bed of my truck. Wake up a couple hours later, see that there's a rescue going on.
Oh
But as I
no.
wake up, I need very quickly rush to the tailgate to puke.
Oh
Uh,
no. Oh.
Spew all over the parking lot in front of all the search and rescue folks,
Oh God.
and then immediately go, "Hey, I know that I look like a mess, but if you need help, I can be up there before anybody else will be up there."
Because
And
you
they
know
just
you're
looked
that
at,
fast.
I'm not even fast, but I saw how slowly they were moving.
Right.
And then they were just like, "No." I ended up skiing 500 feet that day. Said,
Oh,
what the hell are you doing, kid?"
yeah.
And then went back to sleep more. And eventually, like it was just that pretty serious fall thing from Old Shoot this
Oh.
summer. Like it was a pretty serious fall. Eventually, the climbing rangers came down who I was friends with, and I said hi to them. And then the search and rescue folks were like, "Is that guy okay,
Yeah.
alive?" And
Does
they're
he
like,
need
"Oh yeah,
help?
that." And they're like, "Oh yeah, that's Noah. He'll be fine. Don't worry."
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. So
That was
you lost all your calories though, throwing up. That's rough. And I am curious about your calorie intake. You know, how do you know how many calories you burn, in a
I
day,
mean,
and
so my
how many do you
watch
eat
spits
in a
out.
day?
This is where I'm not particularly scientific. I think my
Mhm.
watch spits out something around 4 to 7 or 5 to 7 a day, thousand.
1,000 calories a day.
I think
Wow.
so, yeah. I just eat until I'm full and then usually a little more. Yeah, I'm not super scientific about it. I eat mostly carbs with some protein and then fruits and vegetables on top of that. But
Hmm.
I've been over a good amount of the skiing world this year, and so much of my diet is determined by where I am. Like down here in
What's
Chile,
available?
yeah, like there's just so much more meat. I'm eating a lot more protein,
Hmm.
which might be good for the muscles, but then I definitely find myself needing to eat more while skiing and trying to find carbs because the
Hmm.
way the body just kind of like takes carbs and burns through them is
Yes.
the most efficient way of fueling yourself. So, yeah, everything like in Europe, like, oh, I'll just slam pastries and bread and
Perfect.
some Haribo. And here that's a little more complicated. So much of my diet is really determined by where I am, what's available. When you're living in your truck, which is an '03 Toyota Tacoma that's not built out. This isn't like a camper situation. This is like
Yeah.
3 sleeping pads in the back of your truck. You don't have a fridge, so that dictates what you can do.
Is that the, I was going to ask, what's the worst accommodation you've had during this project?
Um, the truck wasn't bad by any
Okay,
means.
nice.
Especially like at Mount Hood, everybody lives in their car. That's like,
Yeah, summertime, it's warm.
yeah, the issue is too warm. I had to like in a shared hostel room for a few nights, and just like one night or 2 nights, there was some more snoring than I could
Somebody
handle.
always snores in the damn
Yeah,
hostel.
yeah. And like I tried to avoid those situations as much as possible, but that's where I was. So like
Mhm.
that was definitely a bummer, but that's how it goes. I don't know. I've been relatively lucky that things have been fine
I've spent
on that
many
front.
months of my life, including like months on end in hostels, and I can't do it anymore because the snorers. It drives me crazy. Yeah, I almost feel like snorers are bad people, but I know they're not because I probably snore too. But and this what might have been the best accommodations you've had?
I had a pretty sweet little setup at a man named Steven Nyman's house
Oh,
in Park City.
yeah. Tell us
Uh,
about Steven and your relationship
yeah,
and any
so
stories. Yeah, because Steven
my
is a friend of mine. And tell us
yeah,
tell us who he
so
is. And
Steven Nyman,
he's been on the show.
Steven Nyman is a freaking dude. Uh, so I am super lucky last year, and this is a good story too, to be sponsored by Fisher for skis, boots,
Congrats, dude.
etc. Thank
That's
you.
huge.
And so is Steven Nyman for approximately a million years.
Yes,
He loves to tell that story. And what's his name? Siggy, right? Is the
I think
guy
that's right.
that hooked Steven Nyman up
Hmm.
back in like 2003
Yes.
or something.
Yeah, forever.
Yeah. So there was like a Fisher team meeting and everybody's going around and everybody's like, oh, I'm gonna huck 100-foot cliffs and
Mhm.
I'm Steven Nyman. And he, of course, would never say this, but I won 3 World Cups and went to a few Olympics, and I had an insanely long career as a World Cup, and I'm the American downhiller.
Like 20
Yeah.
years. Yeah.
Like, yeah, I think over 20.
Hmm.
And I just retired, and yeah, I freaking rip.
Yeah.
Um, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna just walk uphill a lot,
Mhm.
learn a lot. And Steven Nyman immediately, I remember in the chat, he like dropped some like clapping hands emojis or something. And I was like, why does this guy care? And then, as the year went on, he sent me some suggestions about where to go in Europe. Was like he would repost a couple of my things, and I was just like, why the heck does this guy care?
Mhm. A World Cup downhiller.
A World Cup
It couldn't be
downhiller.
more different.
Yeah, our worlds just were so different.
Hmm.
And then I think I listened to a podcast he was on. I remember I was in Winter Park. I was like, why is this guy like, why does he care? Like, I still don't get it. And I
Hmm.
started to get it when I listened to a podcast he was on. And he talked about like pushing his limits, trying as hard as he possibly could,
Hmm.
loving skiing,
Hmm.
enjoying traveling the world. And I was starting to be like, okay, we do totally different things, but there's some emotional connection between what we do. And then I was coming through Salt Lake as I was driving west from Vermont and texted him like, "Hey, would love to ski or meet you or whatever." You
Hmm.
know, and this changed quickly, but I hadn't skied with anybody that was like or met anybody in the ski world that was like a big shot. So I have my friends who I love,
Yeah.
but they're just guys in Vermont and
Yeah.
good skiers or whatever. And then it goes back and forth. And then he goes, "Okay, I'm coming. Gold miners started a lot. I'll be there in 45." And I
Nice.
posted it recently. I, for unknown reasons, had a monster in my truck, and I
Hmm.
posted a video. It was like I'm sipping a monster, waiting to ski with Steven Nyman.
So good.
I was so nervous. I still get so nervous around these people. And it turns out everybody's so nice.
Oh
But so
yeah.
Steven comes, knocks on my truck window. He's wearing shorts because I was always skiing in shorts. So he wanted to wear shorts too. Uh,
That
and he had brought me food because he
was
knew that I
nice.
needed, yeah, it was incredibly nice. And then I don't think I've told this story before, except to like my parents. We're getting ready, like futzing around, finding my things again after my half nap or whatever.
Hmm.
Also, I knew it was going to rain, but I just didn't tell him. I was like, this is my one shot to ski with World Cup American downhiller Steven Nyman.
Yeah.
So I'm not telling him that it's gonna rain. We'll see. And then he starts spraying about what I'm doing in the parking lot to like
Nice.
two random people. Like I've met this man like 3 minutes ago,
Mm-hmm.
and he starts telling them all about what I'm doing. I'm like, okay, you know what, dude? Two can play.
Yeah.
Two can play.
Oh.
So I wander over and I hit them with it. Do you guys know who you're talking to?
Nice.
And ran off. This man won 3 World Cups. Was on a
Mhm.
bunch of podiums. This guy went to the Olympics. It was very funny.
That's
But it
great.
was, yeah. So we skied. It was pretty gross out. We had a
Mm.
blast. And he was like, oh, you can, if you need to, you can like stay at my house. I was like sleeping in my truck. I was like, no, I'm good. I didn't want to
Mm-hmm.
impose on World
Right.
Cup legend Steven Nyman.
Mm-hmm.
And then like 2 days later, it was like going to be 100 something in Salt Lake.
Ooh.
And I was like, I think I need to ask Steven Nyman if I can
Mm-hmm.
crash tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, he was like, yeah, of course. And then he kind of was like, no, 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 just stay here. Like this isn't like a one night thing, bro.
Oh,
So
perfect.
I was with them and the whole family for a couple of weeks and
Oh,
got to know
wow.
them. Yeah, breakfast in the morning, and I'd be gone all day, see them at night. And yeah, they're awesome. But critically, Steven Nyman is now knows everybody, or at least
Mm-hmm.
every nice person in the ski
Mm-hmm.
world.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's especially down here linked me up with his former competitors, friends, which has been pretty critical, both in terms of like finding places to sleep, but also just finding friends down here, which has turned out to be one of the easiest things. It's the most social place I've ever been.
Yes, South
But
America is amazing for that.
yeah, this town has been like just an epicenter of that. It's been wild.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
that's half the reason I go down there.
it's also like this funny game that everybody plays down here. It's like who's coming, and nobody knows exactly who's coming when. It's like I
Mm-hmm.
heard, like, and everybody, well, except when we didn't have power, you could
Yeah.
just like text people and find out.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more fun to be like, oh, hi, Parkin.
Yeah.
I knew you were coming. Didn't know exactly when. Now
Yeah.
you're here. It's just been great.
So fun, man. Nice. Yeah, Stephen Nyman and his family are terrific people.
They are,
Really like,
yeah,
yeah, Charlotte and Ayla and the whole crew. How many ski lifts have you ridden this year?
zero.
Zero.
Well,
Okay.
I think I took a ski across at Stowe from like Spruce over to Mansfield.
Okay.
So that it's not a lift per se.
So you didn't really use it to go skiing. You were just transportation.
It
So
was,
you've ridden
yeah,
no lifts. You've just been
no
hiking
lifts. Yeah.
only. That's
Yeah.
incredible. And when do you
No,
think you'll hit 3 million?
around the beginning of November, plus or minus.
Oh, so
All depends.
you're gonna go over three.
Yeah.
Where do you think you'll end up?
I don't know. I kind of don't care. I would
Mm-hmm.
like to get to 1 million meters, which is 3,280,000.
Mm-hmm.
It gets complicated. Like my truck is currently at Mount Hood. I have to be in
Okay.
Boston November 17th. So like I have to drive cross country.
Oh,
I have
wow.
to go south from where I am now
Mm-hmm.
because it is definitely spring here, though it did snow today. And so I probably have 7 to 10 days off snow at minimum the rest of the year, probably 10 to 12 if we're being, or 10 to 15 if we're being realistic.
Right.
And I quite honestly, I'm going to try as hard as I can at every possible minute. But the difference between like 1 million meters and 3.4 million feet to me, there's not an attainable number that really excites me past 3.28.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll end up where I end up. And if I get hurt tomorrow, knock on wood, I
Mm-hmm.
still will be really psyched that I got the record, put another 170,000 on it already. So
Incredible, man.
yeah, and I've said it before, the numbers matter and they matter a lot to me. And they
Mm-hmm.
matter probably significantly more to me than they did to Aaron. But the numbers still are just a framework for trying really hard, pushing yourself, skiing every day, going to cool places, doing your own thing, blazing your own path. It's a really cool, great way to design a year. And it's a
Absolutely.
scaffolding.
This episode of the SnowBrains podcast is brought to you by Club Med. Calling all skiers and snowboarders, escape to the snowy peaks of Europe, Japan, China, or Canada with Club Med. Their more than 20 all-inclusive mountain resorts offer unparalleled convenience and endless adventures. Explore world-class ski resorts, indulge in authentic gourmet dining, and unwind with lively après-ski activities. Let Club Med take care of everything so you can simply relax and enjoy your ski getaway. Visit www.clubmed.us or call 1-800-CLUB-MED or call your travel advisor to discover your ski paradise.
When this is all said and done, I'll remember my time with Steven Nyman. I'll remember the moment of breaking the record with my friend. I'll remember skiing off the summit of Mount Hood with like half the TGR crew
That's so cool.
in ways that I won't remember, every 1,000 feet that I did. And those numbers, they're a blueprint in a scaffolding. They are what has allowed me to have these experiences.
That's a really beautiful way to say it too, because yeah, it's this project and this, sort of awe that you've left us all in that just attracts people to you. They want to get to know you and see what makes you tick. I think that's really exciting. And you mentioned that you've gotten to ski so many cool places. Where have you skied so far in this project?
So I started at midnight. Yeah, right at midnight at Stowe.
Wow. On New
Uh,
Year's Day.
New Year's Day. Yep.
Mhm.
So it was one of those like I said I wasn't gonna do it, but I was like, actually, it'd be kind of cool to start at midnight. Like,
Yeah.
and then you're ahead.
Yeah.
So in essence, I never was behind or on schedule. I've been ahead the whole time, which
Beautiful.
Aaron like was behind or right on schedule at one point, and I don't get it. Like I could not handle that.
The
Kudos to
mental
him.
strain of that.
The mental strength, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where probably the numbers mattered more to me. But I couldn't deal with that. If I was behind, I'd be freaking. I would not be doing podcasts. I'd be skiing.
Yeah.
Um, so Stowe, but the resort and the back country, side country around it, and some Bolton J for January.
hmm
February, I was in Saint-Gervais, which is
Where's
right
that?
next to Chamonix in France.
In France.
I went there. I booked so snow was running out on the east. There was an avalanche problem in the west. I booked tickets. They're having a banner year in Europe, as we all saw early
hmm
season. It's
Yeah.
so sick. Okay, it gets warm a week before I go. No problem. It gets warm everywhere for a week, whatever. Then it just stayed warm for 2 months.
Because
And
I almost went. I was gonna go because it would look so good early, and then my friend's like, "Don't come, don't come."
this I had like an awesome day on the Argentière Glacier one day,
hmm
but yeah, the skiing was pretty bad for that month especially. It was also like February and getting worse. Like
Mm,
dirt everywhere and
oof.
the snow line. I was you start hiking higher and higher. And I
Yeah.
wasn't going to take like 3 chairlifts to go to 3,000 meters. That just like, yeah, I would have had better skiing, but just like for the sake of this year and project, that just didn't feel right. Or like to go sit on a chairlift for an hour and a half, to go ski for 6 hours, to go down like that wasn't happening. So the skiing was bad, but good Lord, the life was great. Oh,
Europe is a
taste.
different world, huh?
Oh, yeah. It's like, oh, you know what? I did want an espresso right now. Thank goodness I can just get one. Oh, would I like the best sandwich I've ever had three
Yes.
times a day? Sure.
At
Yes.
12,000 feet.
Yeah. So just the life was good. March, I was mostly in Innsbruck skiing the mountains, especially Patrickhoffel around there.
hmm
Uh, Innsbruck, best ski city in the world. I
Ooh,
mean, I haven't been to all of them,
right.
but in terms of a city, and it's a real city with like that's a cool city, walkable city with
hmm
incredible access to mountains via
Yes.
public transportation.
hmm How's your
Like
German?
bad. My French,
Yeah.
quite good.
Oh, good.
My yeah, my German, I did my absolute best and I learned a bunch. But I
hmm
think I'd rather have French in France than German anywhere.
Yeah.
Because then they're just like, ah, yeah, you are American. Yeah, I do not speak English very
Yeah.
well. Yeah, I have made two grammar mistakes in my life. And you're
Yeah.
like,
They speak perfect English.
yes. And
Yeah.
you're like, ah, so by that you mean perfect English.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Better than
uh,
ours.
yeah. It's like, okay, we've played this game before. Random Austrian man. I know you speak good English.
Yeah.
Stop. And then I spent a week in St. Anton. I had a friend that I worked with at a summer camp in the States, a German
Mm.
friend who is instructing over at St. Anton. So I
Mm.
spent a week over there, and holy
Wow.
smokes, that place is wild.
Yeah. It looks really cool.
The skiing also was very warm. It was like you just like watch loose slides go all the time. But the mountains are incredible and like it's so compressed. The valleys are like tiny. They're like 200 yards across. And then it's
Whoa.
like, yeah. And then,
Vertical.
yeah. Vroom. And infinite mountains, not like as infinite as the Andes. Like, you know, you're in the Andes and you're like, wow, there is literally infinite skiing
The longest mountain
from
range in the
where,
world.
but St. Anton. And then, of course, there's like the famous après scene. I went out 1 or 2 nights and I'm not drinking this year just because I don't feel like it. I like
Hmm.
bought beers. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have a beer tonight.
Hmm.
I took one sip and handed it off. But
Smart.
that is there is nothing in the States that could match a random Tuesday night in St. Anton.
The
Like
Euros, they invented opera, man, and they go hard.
they go so hard.
Yeah.
It's something to behold. But very fun standing on the benches, jumping up and down, listening to horrible, incredible Euro trash pop playlists.
Techno,
Like
yeah.
yeah, I cannot wait to go back and like go ski a few fun things, and then like at 3 o'clock go to opera in St. Anton and just like be not worried about tomorrow.
I remember years ago when I was in college, reading a Powder Magazine article, and the author said it's not uncommon to find yourself drunk as hell, dancing in ski boots at 2 a.m. in the morning in Austria, and you still have more skiing to do to get home. Like you're still up in a
Yeah.
village. Yeah, I love that, man. Nice.
Yeah,
So
it
you've seen,
is.
you've been continue. So I guess what was it? It
Yep.
was Vermont and then France and then
Vermont,
Austria.
France, Austria, April in Vermont. Best time to ski in Vermont.
Nice. Back to Vermont.
Back to Vermont, which
Hmm.
was really good. Then I did with Aaron, my last East Coast day, we went to Mount Washington and ripped a bunch of laps
How
in
cool.
tux. That was
Nice.
special, especially like the year before we went together to Mount Washington, and it was one of
Hmm.
those like I was asking like, how do you do this? What does it feel like? And
Hmm.
then this year we went together and it was like, did you feel this when you were doing this? What was it like for you when this experience happened? So
Helpful.
it was just so different, a different sense of camaraderie this year when like I was in it and he was getting to
Hmm.
watch it, as opposed to me like peppering him with questions about what it might be like. But then we could, exchange our experiences of having done it.
And Tuckerman
So
Ravine is such a legendary place. So that's cool that
such
you
a
guys
legendary
connected
place.
there.
Yeah, and it's also funny because like we were just like running like left gully laps for a while, and like you're lapping people, and people are just like very confused as to what you're doing, wandering around chatting,
And
just like
beating people uphill.
yeah.
Is
I
this
mean,
is this hard for you? This whole project? Are these days hard for you?
there are hard moments, there are
Hmm.
hard laps.
Hmm.
Some weeks are harder or more blah than other weeks, but on the day to day, it's not particular. It's really challenging to talk about the hardness of it because sometimes it's really hard, and but it's never really hard for really long.
Hmm.
But also like I'm also scared of if I start talking about how the challenges and the hard things, then I'll believe it and then I'll understand maybe how hard it is because I know it must be very hard. And I
It's
struggle to
definitely very
share
hard.
and I struggle to share that the hard part. And part of
Hmm.
that is out of, I am so lucky right now. I am skiing every day.
Hmm.
I am in beautiful places with really cool, kind people doing
Hmm.
cool shit. It's pretty rich if I sit there and complain that it was too icy. Like, how many of my friends at their desks, and I know this, would love right now on
Hmm.
September 19th to just slide around on some ice for a few hours. Like, it's hard, I guess, but it's not that hard in total. There's hard moments and hard days and hard laps, but that's a hard question. I
Yeah,
don't
well,
know.
I think maybe we're realizing in real time that you're special, man. You're unique. That this is not hard for you, or that it's not that hard for you, is really special. And yeah, maybe let's talk on December 30th, the very last day of the project. You might feel a little different, but I mean, at this point, you're already 9 months into this thing, and you look great, you sound great, and it doesn't seem like this is super hard for you. And you might not be able to see this as well because you're so in it, but there's something different about you, man. This is a
Yeah.
special thing that's happening, and that you can do this and it's not crazy hard for you is very impressive.
Yeah, and I think a big part of why it's not hard is because I've worked really hard to make it not hard.
Mm.
both mentally and physically. So that's
Hmm.
like I'm skiing much lighter gear than
Hmm.
Aaron. I have spent more time optimizing and thinking about performance and lightness and what can I do to make the vert a little easier. And I think like I've spent a considerable amount of time in resorts, just like resort touring, which I
What's
think
the
that
benefit of that?
so a lot of it is, and it depends where. It's
Hmm.
often just efficient, but
Yeah.
often it's just like you can go, there's services available. Sometimes grooming matters, often it doesn't.
Yeah. Okay.
But also and I've spent a lot of time like kind of in fringy situations too. Like people are always want to know a split, but it's like, especially when you're on the East Coast, like Stowe at night in the cold dark feels a lot more backcountry than Mount Hood when you're like you're on a glacier, but like next to a ski resort. So like I don't
Hmm.
know. I don't yeah, but the benefits of resorts are often like you can just park at the bottom and then walk uphill. And if you need
Yeah.
to go grab water after 2 laps, you can do that.
That is nice.
The downsides are that like you have to watch bad skiing and that you might not get the best snow or the terrain you would love.
Hmm.
Um, and that sometimes you just want to be alone in the woods. Um, but I think for whoever comes next, I think it would have been absolutely possible to do it all in the backcountry
Okay.
if you are in a zone that you know really well and you're willing to accept a lot of risk and you get super lucky with snow and conditions.
It'd have to be a great year.
It has to be a great year, or you have to have really good partners too. Like I've been traveling a lot, like I'm mostly skiing alone. Uh,
I was going to ask you that. I bet you're
yep.
mostly skiing alone because most people
I'm
can't
almost
hike that much.
I'm almost entirely skiing alone. It's probably 85 or 90, probably 90+% alone. So yeah, the to do it only in the backcountry would be sick. And I hope somebody does it. But I also think like as the number gets bigger, it becomes more and more of kind of an endurance athletic feat rather than just like being able to go and pick off lines.
Right.
But you know what? Look, there's a lot of really talented people that could do really cool things. So
And speaking of
whatever.
picking off line, what is it like to ski that super lightweight stuff downhill?
It all depends on conditions. Like skimo skis are an adventure.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm in a Fisher Travers CS boot, which is a lightweight boot, but it's absolutely a touring boot. It's like 980 grams. It
Okay.
is not a carbon rocket ship skimo boot. So like I have a real boot on
Okay, so
rather than a
you can
boot.
actually ski.
Yeah. Especially like I mostly use them either on like ice when I'm just going to be sliding around,
Hmm.
trying to carve it, so like on super flat snow or in like spring slush. And in spring slush, as long as you're really on them, they can be fun. They will never be a vocal mantra. Like
Yeah.
it's that's not what they are. They weigh 690 grams.
And
Like
just for our listeners, about 450 grams is a pound. So these are really light skis.
yeah, like your alpine bindings weigh as much as my ski.
Yeah, I think my lightweight powder skis are 2,000 grams. So you're saying these skis are 650 grams. So it's, a quarter of
690 without a binding. Yeah.
690. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's like a
They're
third or
twigs.
so.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
they're 161 long and 65 underfoot.
Whoa, they're tiny.
They're tiny. They are
Yeah.
they are race ski. They are
Oh,
for skimo racing.
and tell us your size really quick. How tall and how much do you weigh?
I'm like just over 6 feet, 6'1".
Hmm.
I weighed around 165 when I began,
Hmm.
and I don't know how much I weigh now. I think it's probably pretty darn similar.
Okay, good. So you're maintaining your weight. Okay,
I
continue.
think so. I haven't
That's
weighed
funny. We're
myself
the
in a
same.
long
I'm
time.
6'1",
Yeah.
165.
I haven't weighed myself in a while, but like I don't feel like I look gaunt.
Yeah, do you
So I
feel
think
like your body composition has changed in any way?
quads are more defined.
I bet.
Uh, other than that, no, not really. I mean, I was doing a lot of endurance things beforehand.
So this is,
So
within your wheelhouse, and I kind of got you off your train there, but because we initially were talking about where you've skied, so I think
where?
it
Yeah.
was Vermont, France, Austria,
Vermont,
Vermont,
France,
and then I'm
Austria,
guessing
Vermont.
then I'm guessing Oregon, and then
Well,
Chile.
then it was hopped in the truck,
Hmm.
drove, was going to Winter Park, but then
Okay.
I saw Berthoud Pass and I was like, wait, I think that's a place where people go skiing, and
Hmm.
slammed on the brakes, pulled in there, stayed there for a few days and skied between Winter Park and Berthoud Pass for a while.
Very cool.
Uh, yeah, that was a rude awakening. I'd slept the night before at the world's largest truck stop on I-80, which is at sea level. And then all of a sudden I was at, it's like 11.5 at the top of Berthoud Pass,
Woo.
just like Then it snowed 8 inches or something. Fever dream altitude skiing was so fun the next day
That's
for two
rad.
days. Yeah, so I was there for a while. Spent like 4 days in Aspen, which was cool, but I had to hike like 2K for snow. Then like 2 plus 2 weeks in Salt Lake. And then it was straight to Hood for like a month
And then from
plus.
Hood to
Yeah.
Chile. So okay, that's
Hood to
big.
Chile.
So
Yeah.
Vermont, France, Austria, Vermont, Colorado, Utah,
So
Oregon,
again,
Chile, and then it continues. Where do you plan on skiing in the future for the rest of the project?
Chile, maybe some Argentina. I really need to make plans to go
Hmm.
south, but that's a lot of work and I really don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Uh, I both don't want to do the planning and the moving. I just want to do the skiing.
Yeah, that's the
And so
hard part.
my truck is at, I think it's at Hood Meadows. Stephen Nyman's friend and former coach Scotty Venus was like, just leave it at my house. I've got a buddy where I can bring it. So it's like at
Perfect.
his, I think it's at Hood Meadows.
Mhm.
Hope it works. It's a Toyota. She rips. So I think I'll fly back like right at the beginning of November.
Hmm.
I'm speaking at the Snowbound Expo in Boston, November 17th. So
Oh,
between when
very
I fly,
cool.
yeah,
We
that's
partnered
ex
with them. That's SnowBrains. That's
oh
so cool.
sweet.
We're
Yeah.
pushing all that, so we'll make sure to push your talk.
Yeah. I'm excited and I'm hoping to, land more speaking gigs in the future. That's
Yes.
definitely on my radar. And so yeah, I'll meander back. November is such a toss up, really globally with snow.
Yes. It's a tough month.
It's a tough month. So like last year,
Mhm.
I was looking at my Strava. I skied all but 1 or 2 days in snow when we had for a while, I think the best snow in the country.
In November.
In November, last
Nice.
November, we had past performance isn't an indicator of future success.
No.
So I'll do that, and then hopefully I'll be able to stay in Vermont or New England. But if, Europe is firing,
Hmm.
it's almost the easiest thing to do is to hop on a plane to Innsbruck
Yeah.
for 2, 3 weeks because
Hmm.
then you can live without a car, which is my favorite.
Yeah,
So,
it's the best.
so we'll see. The one thing I do know is that I will end the year in Stowe with family and friends. That starting and ending in Stowe, and then I was at Mount Hood for my birthday, June 30th, halfway through the year, because my parents came out. So those were the 3 dates I had locked in, and then everything
Nice,
else is
man.
up in the air.
Nice. I love that. I have a really important question. How many times have you had a poo outside during this project?
I was really we were close day one or day two, morning two in Chile, we were really close. There was a clenched tuck to a bathroom. There's like, yeah, there was
So it's not a frequent occurrence.
no.
I thought it was, to me, it happens all the time. If I have early morning backcountry days, especially in May, man, it happens all the time for me. So yeah, you've got something special. It's good.
I'm not. I'm mostly skiing business hours. Mount Hood, I started skiing earlier because it was so hot there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I mostly ski business hours. In Stowe, I would ski like side-ish country.
Mhm.
In January I skied a kind of an absurd amount. So I would ski 6K in the morning and then 6K you can ski in the resort in the after it closes. So I'd ski
Wow.
6K at night too.
And take a
Uh
break in the middle of the day.
yeah, I love a split session.
Okay, that's good for you. Okay, that works for you.
Yeah, and it all
Mhm.
depends where, like if it's easy. So I was living
Okay,
7 minutes from the hill. So
perfect.
that was really easy to.
What do you eat when you're out there? I'm assuming, just sugar, but what do
Yeah,
it?
mostly sugar or
Mhm.
sugary bread products. I don't have a nutrition sponsor, so a lot of local delicacies.
Uh-huh.
I like to do some snack reviews on Insta. Very fun.
I saw some stuff like that.
Yeah,
I loved it.
yeah, I love the Haribo, especially in Stowe. And then it happened in Utah. Now it actually, I don't have a truck here, but people give me things sometimes. I was getting truck treats. Uh,
Oh, okay. So tell me, Aaron Rice
yeah,
asked me to ask you about truck treats.
so I don't know exactly how it started. I can't remember, but Stowe, Vermont, famously safe place, and I famously careless, not careless, but a little frazzled.
Uh-huh.
It's nice if you just leave your keys in the truck and the truck open,
Oh
you know where
yeah.
your keys are.
Yeah.
Uh, and everybody knows. I mean, most people do. So at some point, people started putting left me a snack in on my front seat,
Okay.
and I
Knowing that
posted.
that's your truck, Noah's doing
Yeah,
the 3
I mean,
million project. Give him some food. That kid needs food.
yeah. I mean, I'm driving the beat '03 Tacoma in Stowe, Vermont, where, the 2027 F-150 or whatever is a little more common.
Right.
So yeah, it was my truck. And I posted like, thanks, whoever, hashtag truck treats. And
Hmm.
then it started happening a lot, which was really cool. Whether it was like eggs from somebody's chickens, Stowe, Vermont,
Hmm.
or like just like, I think Aaron made me cookies once.
Oh, that's
Uh,
nice.
so just like, yeah, just fun things. And especially like anything to not have to like go obtain more food because
Eh,
going grocery shopping is not resting.
No,
Uh,
absolutely not. I hate grocery
and then
shopping.
I like kind of love going to grocery stores, except this year when it's
It's
tiring.
taking away from your recovery. And so
Yeah,
I think a big piece of this is that you're getting truck treats, you're getting free food, which is super helpful. You don't have to shop. It's saving you time, it's saving you money, saving you
yeah,
energy,
but more than anything, it's bringing me joy, and
good
it's like,
vibes. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like, and it's a fun way for other people to be part of my journey.
Yeah.
The food, the money, the time, those matter, but the connection, kind of like I was talking about earlier, that's the really cool part. And especially when it started to happen in Utah, because I met a woman who was like, "Oh, I have a friend in Vermont." Her friend, she called her friend, asked about me, sent a Stowe Reporter article that talked about truck treats, and then all of a sudden truck treats were in Utah.
Oh, I love it, man. No, you're right. The vibes, the connection to the community is the most important part. But it does highlight something about, a budget. How are you funding this project? I saw that you had a GoFundMe account, have sponsors stepped up. Who's giving you money? How's this working?
I mean, the truth of the matter is I'm poor.
You're shoestringing it is how it looks.
Yeah. So I was incredibly reluctant to set up a GoFundMe, and I
Hmm.
like refused to like post about it because
Hmm.
I don't know. It's like I'm just going skiing. It's cool. It's great. I love it. I'm proud of
Hmm.
it.
But to
I don't
ask
like
people for money felt
money
like a
too.
lot.
Yeah. That being said, it's garnished something like 10K from it, which has been
It's
critical. And then some
huge.
other, yeah, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money for me. And then there's been a few other people that are like, "Oh, I'll just Venmo you," out of
Hmm.
the blue.
That's
So,
nice.
very incredibly.
Yeah.
So I kind of alluded to this earlier. Like I came into this, I was a teacher and private tutor. Like I was not an athlete coming into this. So like you
Hmm.
go to companies and you're like, "Hey, I'm gonna go do this." And they're like, no, a lot of people
Sure,
say that
sure,
yeah,
kid.
yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, right. Like, no, you're not. Do you understand how much you have to ski the amount you say you're going to ski? Like, do you know
Hmm.
what that means? And I was like, no, I am. It's fine. And they're
For
like,
reals this
sure.
time.
Yeah, exactly. It's a business and it's something you need to be skilled in. And I didn't have those skills
Hmm.
because it was my first rodeo. So minimal to almost no sponsor money. I'm
Mm.
still absolutely looking. And now
Hmm.
that I've like been more connected in the ski community, I'm reaching out to people to talk about how to do the business. I reached out to Cody
Yes,
Townsend. He was so kind yesterday. We chatted
that's
and like
great.
he knows how to run the business.
Hmm.
I'm learning that side of it. The double-edged sword is that as I, one, have actually done something now, and
Hmm.
two, know and have these connections, I am significantly more tired and less interested in drafting emails.
Right. Hmm.
So,
Absolutely. But
so that's
you've
been
you've definitely
tricky.
gained quite a bit of publicity around this project. I mean, I
Yes.
would say that much more than Aaron Rice did. When Greg Hill did the 2 million, there was a lot of fanfare. When Aaron, I think just Aaron's style and his
Oh, that's
personality,
so Aaron.
he's chill, right?
Shy.
Like,
Aaron is
yeah,
shy.
yeah,
Aaron is
he's
shy.
shy. Yeah,
Very
absolutely.
shy. So I think I posted about this like the week before I broke the record. The
Hmm.
first 2 years or whatever I lived in Stowe, I was sure that dude hated me.
Oh no.
Like, and I, or certainly didn't know. I thought it was like, I don't remember the trajectory. It was like, didn't know who I was. Then I thought he hated me. And then
Hmm.
we ended up, after I Everested on this bike trip in Quebec.
Hmm.
And it was like, oh no, he's actually really wonderful. He's just like Aaron.
He's just
He's
introverted.
shy.
Yeah.
He's like
Yeah.
shy, reserved, just like wants to go skiing and ride his bike.
Yeah. because I
Oh,
really wanted to help him
yeah.
get the word out more. And it's not an easy thing to do either. But I would say that you've done a great job because in researching you, I found dozens of articles by dozens of different outlets talking about this project, all different stages of it, which is really cool. I think you've done maybe a dozen podcasts already. So how do you think you were able to successfully get this publicity around your project?
A few things. One is that I had more friends and contacts and live than Aaron.
Hmm.
Aaron was Aaron, so
Hmm.
he had his close ski friends and they went skiing.
Hmm.
But I was more connected a little bit in the world. And then I think Instagram in some ways is in a different place and like how with posting
Social media in
stories.
general, right? Because
Yeah,
when did Aaron do his? Like 2016 or a
it's
while ago?
2016, yeah.
Okay.
So like did we even have Instagram stories back then?
I don't
I
think
don't know.
so. No, yeah.
And like the Instagram story has been really critical for me
Hmm.
this year in terms of communicating what I'm doing. Then, some PR help coming out of Fisher, absolutely, and
That's
having
huge.
them behind me. And then yeah, you meet somebody, somebody posts and word spreads. And I think that in the beginning it was awkward talking to people, especially
Hmm.
when like you're saying you're going to go do something. It's like they ask a question like, this is what I think will happen, but how the heck am I supposed to know?
Right.
So, and then, once you're part of it, you're part of it. And then once, everybody loves a winner. Uh,
Oh, now you're the world record holder, right? So that's a whole
right.
different
So yeah,
conversation.
everybody loves a winner.
Yeah,
Uh,
success validates anything.
Yeah. So, and I've learned to enjoy and how to speak to the press
Hmm.
and to put myself out there and to follow up and all of that,
No,
which
you're
is, it's been cool. Then people find out about it, and then all of a sudden, like you can give Cody a ring to talk about things. Like the best
hmm.
thing that's happened to me from social media has been real life friends.
Yes, that's so cool, man. And so now that you have a little bit of fame around this project and what you're doing, do you have any aspirations? How do you want to use that? Do you have aspirations of being a pro skier or a pro ski mountaineer? Or has it opened up any unexpected opportunities for you?
In terms of unexpected opportunities, it's definitely like the people that were like, you're in the movie, but also you're standing next to me now. That's
Yeah,
cool.
that
Um,
is cool.
and it turns out they're all awesome people. But, and I've said repeatedly, and I mean it, I really mean it, that I'm doing this not to become a pro skier or athlete or anything, but to do this project because I want to do
Hmm.
this. That being said, I've knocked off one of the big goals already, so we can move on to some
Hmm.
other stuff.
Hmm.
And I'm trying to figure out, where in this world, like I'm not just a skier. I'm
Hmm.
certainly not just an uphill skier. I love going downhill. Like, let's
Hmm.
make that very clear. I love going downhill fast and in cool places and with rocks around. So trying to figure out where I can fit into this industry, if there is in fact enough funding to scrape by a life that is enough to live a good life,
Hmm.
however I define it. I think I'm also an educator at heart. I really don't see myself back, at least in the next few years, in a classroom. I can't stomach that right now for 9 months of the year. But I think I'll always, whether that is, corporate speaking and working with groups and things or sharing my experience, I think in some ways I'll always be an educator and I don't want to leave that part of my identity behind. So I think, yeah, I'd love to keep skiing. I'd love to, ride my bike probably long distances, go run around, see different parts of the world, explore cultures, learn new languages while doing it. I think that I don't know, but I
Hmm.
think with some grit and some luck and some passion and trying really hard, that I might be able to carve out my own space in this industry, which Noah of 5 years ago couldn't even dream of dreaming of this.
And if you stick to those three things, especially the grit, I'm very confident that it's going to work out for you, man. Because that is the one thing I learned in this industry is if you stay in the trenches long enough, something good will happen. Some opportunity will present itself. And you are definitely in the trenches right now. And you are battling this out, and people are noticing. And there's going to be a future for you if you want it, if you continue to grind on this. And I am curious, looking to the future a little bit. So December 31st will be your last day. What's your plan for the
Okay, so
last
that
day?
So the last day itself in that week, I don't know exactly.
Yeah, there's got to be a celebration at some
There's
point,
going to
though.
be,
How
yeah,
do you have a plan?
the one thing that's critical is, spending that, that last lap, because at one point you do the last lap.
Yep.
So my dad, before this year began, he said, I'll ski a lap with you.
Yes.
And he's never toured. He skis. He's a
Okay.
very competent skier, but he has never gone ski touring. So I don't think that will be the last lap because I think he'll take some, extra attention and minding. But so that will probably be back when I'm in Vermont. But then, just a fun party lap. And then, I think it'll be a really weird feeling to take my skis off for that last time as part of the project because it is such a special year in my life.
Yes.
Then, it'll be New Year's Eve. So we'll see what happens. But then I think the critical part, and I've thought a lot about this, more than I've thought about celebrating the project, is offboarding from the project.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah. What do you do the next day
yeah, so I
on
think
January 1st?
there's some things I'm looking forward to in January,
Hmm.
which are like long mornings with, an extra cup of coffee.
Yeah,
Uh,
sleeping
I'm I,
in.
yeah, I'm super psyched to go skiing,
Hmm.
but like a moderate amount.
Ride a
Um,
chairlift, maybe.
Maybe we'll
Yeah.
see. I don't know. I'm not committing either way to that. I'm not swearing them off forever, but I
Uh,
I do think the majority of my skiing going forward will be human powered. Though I do have a little curiosity for animal powered skiing. I saw
ooh.
like an ad for like yak based skiing, and I was like, that looks fun in Mongolia
Yeah.
or something. Uh, but January is for friends and family and rest, and I've
Mhm.
spent a lot of time not hanging out with people, and
Yeah.
so
How has this experience impacted your relationships with friends and family?
in some way, I think in many ways it's strengthened
Mm.
the really close ones. Talk to a few of my Stowe friends daily,
Hmm.
certainly through text and often phone calls. My grandparents, my mom's mom and my dad's mom and dad, I speak to very frequently on the phone while skiing. One of my favorite activities is to
That's
skin
smart.
that.
Yeah, dude, two for
Yeah.
one, right? You hiking and talk, getting connection.
Yeah. I've always said that friend vert is free vert. So if you're skiing with
I
friends,
like
it's
that.
free. But if you're on the phone, that's the second best thing to an in person.
Hmm.
I've said that I don't really surf like at
Hmm.
all, but like I've surfed a few times, but I want to go on a surf trip, just like
Go to some
5 days.
warm water.
Yeah, some warm water, like easy waves, no
Yes.
shoes, don't put on ski boots. And like that's a lot of that is to be getting some dopamine and some joy
Hmm.
from something that isn't skiing. Like I get so much, 10,000 feet. Boom, now you're happy. Oh, you
Yeah.
skied powder. Now you're happy. Oh,
Hmm.
another 100K down. Now you're happy. Oh, look, an article about you. You're great. Look, you're happy. So to help to find a way to transition out of that kind of dopamine loop that's sick right now.
Hmm.
But it's really, spend time with family and friends. I think New Year's Day brunch will be absolutely lovely. Will I go
That's
skiing
something to look
before?
forward to.
Yeah. Will I go skiing before or after? Yeah, probably. Like I like skiing rocks. Like probably want to go
It's
do that.
probably going to be hard for you to break the cycle.
Yeah, that is why I want to do these other things. And I think like
Hmm.
going down to Boston, going to New York, physically removing myself. Also like going to ski different objectives. Like go to the Whites to go ski a line or
Hmm.
two lines rather than a number will be really good.
So this is kind of the end here. This is pretty much my last question. What's the most important lesson you've learned so far during this quest?
You can do it. Or maybe it's just another lap. It can't be that hard.
It kind of makes me think of it's like an old Eastern saying that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step.
Yep,
Well, that's great, man.
absolutely.
Well, this is that's all I got for you, man. Is there anything you'd like to add here at the end of the show?
Think we got it covered. That was pretty broad.
We did it all.
That was all of it. Probably not. I'm sure I'll say goodbye and think of something, but
Well, thank you
yeah,
so much, man. I'll just end it with that. No, I really appreciate your time and energy, especially because as we talked about, this is not resting. So I hope you get a ton of rest tonight and get a ton of vert tomorrow. I'm so excited that you've already broken the record. I know you're going to complete this project. I'm wishing you the best of luck, man. And I'll be watching every day on your Instagram to see what you're up to and where you're at.
awesome. Thank you for having me.
Thanks again, man. Have a great day. Thank you so much for listening to the SnowBrains podcast. If you like this podcast, please share with friends and family, and please make sure to subscribe. To find out more about SnowBrains, please visit us at snowbrains.com. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, X, and more. This episode of the SnowBrains podcast is brought to you by Club Med. Ditch the hassle and embrace the freedom of an all-inclusive ski vacation with Club Med. Their resorts in the European Alps and Canada offer the perfect blend of exhilarating skiing, exceptional service, and worry-free pampering. Enjoy having lift tickets, delicious meals, lessons for all ages, and endless après-ski fun, all included in one price. While the kids are having a blast at the supervised children's clubs, you can focus on mastering your skiing skills and creating unforgettable memories on and off the slopes. Visit www.clubmed.us or call 1-800-CLUB-MED or call your travel advisor to experience skiing without limits. This episode of the SnowBrains podcast was edited by Liam Abbott. Music by Chad Crouch. And I'm your host, creator, and director, Miles Clark.